I'm going to tell you something that I am really embarrassed to admit, but I've got to get it off my chest. I've actually watched some of the Republican presidential debates. It's true. And I want to share a little bit of a highlight reel with you, some things I've heard. These are real statements made by people seeking the presidency of the United States of America. Not to be sure any people in this room, but I know that Bernie and Hillary have been busy, so I thought they might want to hear some of this so they know what they're going to be up against. Here goes. In the second debate, Ted Cruz eagerly said, "If you want a skeptic on climate change, I'll happily jump into that briar patch." Then Donald J. Trump said, quote, "Global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive." I know what you're thinking, at least he believes climate change is real. But he changed his mind. Here's another one. It's odd. "If I were not president," said another candidate, one from the so-called Republican establishment, "but if I were king in America, I would abolish all teachers' lounges where they sit together and worry about woe is us." Well, I don't know. That sounds like a winning education platform for some of the Jeffco school board, except thanks to you, they've been recalled. Be able to guess this one. "I will build, quote, a great wall on our southern border. I want it to be so beautiful because maybe someday they'll call it the Trump Wall. The Mount Rushmore of Trump, paid for by Mexico." Finally, they're more mature and thoughtful candidates said in a debate, "We are going to kick Obama's rear end out of the White House come this fall." And this is what, you never know what they're going to say. This is why I can't let my girls watch these debates. These people have no manners. Kick our president out? Our president, who inherited a 10% unemployment rate when we were hemorrhaging 800,000 jobs a month, since he's been in office, we've created 14 million jobs in this country. 71 consecutive months of private sector job growth. That's more than the number of times they've tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act. We passed the Lilly Ledbetter Act, expanded children's health insurance, stem cell research, rural broadband, national service, passed Wall Street and credit card reform, reversed the Bush torture policies, ended No Child Left Behind, killed Osama bin Laden. Our president, who won the fight on gay marriage, saved our auto industry when Mitt Romney said, "Let Detroit go bankrupt," created tens of thousands of wind and solar jobs. And let me give you just one more example that you will barely remember. I remember it. I remember sitting night after night watching an underwater camera record oil gushing from the remnants of BP's Horizon platform. I remember the feeling of helplessness, anger about the carelessness that threatened the Gulf. And I want you to join me tonight in saying thank you to our own Ken Salazar for his resolve, for his confidence, for his leadership in resolving that crisis. Thank you, Ken. So sorry for that tirade. I got distracted by the facts. Let me get back to the insane political fantasy. One candidate said if you took a poll, President George W. Bush would be the most popular president among Republicans. That was Jeb who said that. And Marco Rubio. Never mind, I don't need to repeat anything he said. because he does such an awesome job of repeating himself. Time is short, so I'm not even going to bore you with the things they've said about Planned Parenthood as they tried to shut the government down, to defund it, and get rid of a Speaker of the House because he wouldn't do it. But in the end, what happened after all of that? What happened? The Republican prosecutor in Texas assigned to investigate Planned Parenthood cleared Planned Parenthood and through a grand jury of American citizens indicted the people who did it. You cannot make this stuff up. Except they do. So here's what I want to say at this Democratic gathering. First of all, I want to acknowledge our governor, who's sitting right here, the state legislators who are here, our county commissioners, and Rick Palacio, and all of you, and everything that you've done for Colorado. And I want to tell you that I'm proud of my bipartisan work to try to prevent government shutdowns, make college more affordable, better take care of our veterans, and as a member of the Gang of Eight, to pass comprehensive immigration reform out of the Senate. And I know there have occasionally been times when some of you and I have disagreed about issues, partly because it's natural for us to have disagreements, and partly because my job is to represent a state that's a third Democratic, a third Republican, and a third independent. And let me tell you, the Republicans are having a hard time getting represented by some of these guys in Washington, D.C. But much more important than that, our job is to represent the next generation of Coloradans. Our daughters and sons, no matter what party they're in, what religion they call their own, and whom they love. That's why I can only get 10 minutes into these Republican debates before I have a splitting head. And I ask myself, why are these guys running a campaign of hatred and division, of rank negativity and fear-mongering? Why are they trying to give America a headache? And I think it's because the only way they can win is to divide, distort, distract, and deceive their way to the White House. The only way they can win is to suppress the vote, just like they've tried to do in Ohio, in North Carolina, and Wisconsin, and now they're focused on Colorado, and we are not going to let them get away with it here. These presidential candidates, they don't have real solutions for our country, and they can't even talk about the real problems half the time. It's our job in this room to set the record straight, to talk about the issues that matter in people's lives, and to get people to vote for their families and for their futures. That's why this room is so important. You're the ones talking about how we create a pathway to the middle class. You're the ones. We need to remind people that there's a lot to be proud of in Colorado. But more important, you're the ones who need to remind people that there are a lot of working families who haven't felt the benefits of the recovery or growth in our state or other states across the country. That's what counts. That's what matters. And that's what I'm trying to do every day in the United States Senate. And we should be proud of what we together have accomplished for Colorado over the last 7 years. We expanded wind and solar energy production where we are leading the nation. We passed healthcare reform and 500,000 Coloradans who didn't have insurance before have it now. And after 15 years, we finally left No Child behind and began to reduce the amount of high-stakes standardized tests in our schools. We reformed the FDA, we protected Chimney Rock, we protected Browns Canyon and Hermosa Creek. Because it turns out that you can get a lot done when you're not spending your weeks trying to ban entire nationalities or religions from our country, the land of liberty. And that's what really this election is all about, choosing real solutions over fear. figuring out what to do rather than whom to blame. Because you can blame whomever you want, but tomorrow our problems as a nation will still be there, and we will need to take them on together. So I want to thank our special guests once again, Bernie and Hillary. We're lucky to have you here. Everyone in this room, I want to thank you for working toward that goal, for working to create a Democratic majority in Congress, for working to elect the next Democratic president so we can pass immigration reform, remove the barriers to a decent education, and build a road to the middle class. Together we'll make this happen, and together we will hold this Senate seat in 2016. Thank you for your kindness to me and my family. Go, go, go. Have a great night.